I'm going to try to share this story without getting emotional. I'm watching him go up the steps. And I'm thinking, if I can just get through these slides. And I look over, and that moment, I realize that I cannot.
What happens when the pace you've been running at, while leading across global brands, iconic campaigns, and powerful moments of impact, becomes the very thing threatening to break you? Today, we go behind the creative with Dior George, a multicultural marketing strategist whose career spans iconic brands like Nike, McDonald's, and even collaborations with Essence. With over 15 years in the corporate creative world, Dior is unpacking the tension between ambition and exhaustion and what it really means to pause before life forces you to. Let's go behind the creative with Dior George.
Let's take a look behind the creative.
Hi, Dior.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And obviously, I love introducing guests that come on the show, but I want to hear from you. Who is
Well, first of all, I am just really thankful for being here. And I will answer that in a way. So Dior is basically everyone. Dior has been created in a place of culture and connectivity. I'm excited because Dior is from the streets of New York. I like to say I was born and raised in New York, but groomed and blossomed in the dirty South. Spent a lot of time learning and loving and laughing and discovering who and what that is. And so if you ask me in one question, Dior is growing and connecting. This is act 2, I like to say. And I'm really driving just being intentional and focusing on that as I go forward into what's next.
I love that. And I mean, you have a career and you've built one that many would call enviable. Okay. And I know you are from New York, and I feel like New York is like the mecca for creatives. And I'm curious, has that been an influence for you in your career that has led you to being creative? Or has there been other influences that pushed you into being a creative strategist?
Absolutely. I start off a lot of conversations with, where are you from? Because if it's not from my accent to my, I call it New York rules, it's really important that comes through. So to answer your question, absolutely, it is probably foundational to who I am and really to the environment that my parents, provided. Just having the ability to see so much happening right in front of me, but also knowing that there's so much more out there. Your mind, we were just talking about the library, like your mind can go so many places with books and literature and culture. And so it was very important for my parents to instill that in me. And that really gave me just the understanding that while I love New York and continue to grow there, I always wanted more. And so I made the decision to leave the great state of New York and attend Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University in Florida. And the number one question I get is, you left New York to go to Tallahassee? And the answer is yes, I did, because I get to have met some amazing, people that continue to breed what culture is.
Yeah.
And so that connected the dots for me very, very early on. And so that contributed to, the growth that I've had in my career, because I've seen people from all walks of life and I've seen them change their surroundings in that walk.
And that's powerful because I mean, FAMU is an HBCU and that is, culture in itself. And it takes discernment, to make that type of decision. And from so early on, as someone who's going and walking into adulthood, how have you been able to decide or discern what has been worth your energy, especially in your career, your experience in your life, and what hasn't been?
Good question. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. I haven't. I haven't always known what to do and where I should be as far as career. I didn't set out to work for these brands. I didn't even think that I could. And that's why going to an HBCU put it in perspective and put it in reach for me. So having my first job out of college be at Nike, a global brand that drives sports and entertainment, was something I had never imagined. And so I answer that in a way that I am now learning what it means to and be intentional. And I'm now learning the impact that I've had based on the decisions that I've made early on. I've led each day with grace and the ability to know and learn from the mistakes that I've made, so that with every decision I did going forward, it was to be better than the last.
Yeah. Wow. That's really, really important to mention. I think one of the things that I love to hear you talk about is this blend of culture in your work. And obviously, you've led multicultural marketing for big household brands, these names that all of us know so very well, in our homes. And you're also a creative. So I'm curious, in this corporate creative world, at times, have you felt that there was some sense of a pressure or some sense of a place where you had to make decisions, whether you were going to be more of a creative or teeter more on the side of a spectrum where you were being more creative than, kind of applying yourself to the corporate side of you, where you had to meet some of those corporate goals?
No, I think that's a constant struggle, especially being in a corporate world. And one thing that I've been able to do is connect those dots early on. So I love the sense of multicultural, because multicultural is culture. And so regardless of where and how you're bringing campaigns to life, because our world is diverse and because we live in so many different, environments, it's important that that lens overcompasses anything that I do. And so I've taken the lens of driving creativity and connecting it back to the business objectives early on, so that there's a way to creatively say and come to, the end result, which is, of course, the business success. And I failed at that. Once or twice. And I've been able to say, okay, what were those learnings and how to apply them, going forward, so that either me or those coming after me won't make that same mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things that I really have seen, and oftentimes in corporate spaces, there is this antidote, right? That hard work is often sometimes seen or confused with exhaustion, right? And in order for you to work hard, it's almost like you have to outpace yourself. And in order for you to do well, you have to be tired. Like, success is often like the exchange. And so even with people who are like type A personalities, like sometimes I mean, let's be honest, I've taken the personality traits, the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs. Yes. Okay. Sometimes even type A, studies show it. This is why, in my career, I studied employee mental health, and type A personalities are linked to facing and experiencing more burnout, because we identify with hard work, meaning that is success. And I'm curious to see if, in your experience, have you seen or have you ever identified with corporate spaces almost thinking that the price of entry is exhaustion for success?
Absolutely. Like, flat on the answer is yes. And I will say, not only did I see it in the corporate world, I saw it growing up. I saw, a mother who worked, for 30 plus years, every day, in and out. Saw a father who built a business from the ground up as an entrepreneur. And so I went in thinking, oh, I got to put in the work. I have to grind out. I'm going to be from the bottom and go to the top.
Yeah.
Because that's the environment that I saw. So I went in expecting that almost. And learning, that while that may have worked for some, there actually, comes a time where you need to recognize the break, and you need to recognize it before it recognizes you, and before the break, takes you out. And so it's been very much through having kids and moving and relocating for jobs, through the pandemic, through so many like environmental changes, that the burnout came, I would say, even faster than, I expected. And it came in a way that I didn't identify as first, because we often, as creative, makes excuses of, if I could just finish this project, if I can just, get to this deadline, next week will be better. But what was next week was just another project and another deadline. And so that's when I would say maybe about 10 years in, that village of friends and family start to become real, and you start to invest your time and energy into that. And I started mandating vacations. I started mandating girls' trips. I started, mandating best friend check-ins. And so that gave me a little bit of space to realize that when I did that, I came back, fresh and renewed and better, not only for the job, but for my creativity.
Yeah, that's really important. And you said something, because I'm curious, how do you know? How can you tell when you're working from a place of, I really care about this project, rather than a place of obligation?
I'm going to try to share this story without getting emotional. So I would share that for me, the turning point was during the pandemic. I was working on a project, and I was all in. We were at the time doing something that was going to impact the community tremendously. And so I had everything, on the line. However, I'm also home with a 6-month-old and, presenting on this PowerPoint, and I'm watching him go up the steps. And I'm thinking, if I can just get through these slides and get off camera, I'll catch him, I'll get him off the steps. And so he had broke through the baby gate, and, I'm just steady presenting, and I'm thinking, Lord, just get me through this presentation. And I look over, and, like a mother's instinct, I knew he was going to fall. And so thank God he only fell like 2 steps. But that moment of just, I realized that I cannot, and I should not, have to do it all or sacrifice one for the other. And so I'm thankful that even in that moment, I could realize I need to make some changes, so that I can be the best for my family, for my kids, but also for my, my job and my career that I had invested so much in. And so, that evening I took some time, I prayed about it. I talked it over with my parents, and I said, look, I have to get to where we could be, one, closer. So I would have a village for the kids, but also that I can get back to giving 100% to the career that I loved and was passionate about. So moments like that give kind of like the light bulb of do different. And so I started then moving in different and being able to not only connect the dots, but be able to create an environment that was conducive to my creativity.
Yeah.
And that started with making sure that, you know, my kids were safe
Yeah.
and I could present something as simple as a presentation.
Yeah. What are some signs, you know, that you can tell are those preventative measures, mentally, emotionally, physically, that you would take to make sure that you're going to step into something, you know, from a preventative standpoint versus recovery?
Yeah, and that's a really good question, because I would say back then I was being very reactive. You know, when something goes wrong, I can drop what I'm doing, you know, to fix it. So I love the question of just being preventive, because now in my act 2, like I like to say, I am more of a planner, because most creatives are very much just create, and never really kind of can think through what time looks like.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's travel. It's the gift of seeing other cultures and, you know, some people, airports give them anxiety. Me, it's like a breath of fresh air.
That's what I'm saying.
Like I am an airport lounge. You know,
put me in the Sky Club.
Yes, I thrive. Like I make my best presentations there. And so I do enjoy, you know, it's something about maybe being in an airplane where, you know, you can't use your phone, or, you know, you are able to disconnect, even if it's for an hour flight, that you are able to like be with your thoughts.
Yeah.
And so, and then secondly, I would say in traveling, I also like to travel with other creatives. So now that creative spirit and juices are flowing, and we're learning cultures and traditions and experiences that kind of feed this creative, they're fuel for the creativity. So that's been for me kind of my thing. So I have 5 trips a year that I take, and some are as big as like Bali and Egypt, and some is as simple as, you know, a beach weekend in Savannah. And so it's really important. I'm very big on staycations and just going and learning this, you know, city of Atlanta that, you know, I've now been in and resided in for the last 3 years. And so every week, you know, I'm like, oh, let's go, you know, do a little something and learn something else that we haven't learned. So that gives me that reset for a week, and you be able to get back into the hustle and bustle of being a creative.
I love that. And speaking of intentional pauses and resets, let's take an intentional pause right now and talk about how important it is to rest, and not just any type of rest. Resting with Coop Sleep Goods, because every night matters. And when you sleep with Coop Sleep Goods, we're going to talk about how it is the intentional reset you need to create even better right now. We'll be right back after the break. Did you know that how you sleep makes all the difference of how you wake up, how you work, how you create? And I'm not just talking the time you go to bed, but I mean the type of pillows you sleep on, the shape, the fluff, what it's actually made of. You need to be sleeping on Coop Sleep Goods customizable pillows. I personally sleep on the original adjustable pillow cut out for neck support because I'm a side sleeper, the original maternity adjustable pillow, I'm not pregnant, and the original adjustable body pillow, but because they support my back. Lumbar support is important. But do you know Coop has a new pillow, the orthopedic pillow? It's designed for neck pain relief and cervical support. And this is great if you wake up with crazy neck pain or posture discomfort. It's ergonomic and it provides targeted cervical spinal support to encourage proper alignment and comfort throughout the night. And who doesn't want that? It has customizable spinal alignment. It has 4 adjustable zones with 3 fill chambers and a customizable neck bolster. And this all helps you align your head, your neck, your shoulders, and your spine to help you reduce strain. It supports stability and your breathability, okay? It has memory foam, and I love memory foam. The structure helps you support yourself through the night, so you don't have to reposition yourself and keep rolling over and over all night. And obviously, it's coupe, so there's easy adjustability all around. So everyone can personalize the pillow as you get older or as your needs change. This makes it an excellent long-term solution for ongoing cervical support and comfort. Can you tell these pillows are designed to solve your sleep problems? Visit coopsleepgoods.com/Dr. Christelle. That's Dr. Christelle for 20% off of your first purchase and get the sleep you need with the pillows you deserve. Okay, Dior. So I mentioned before, you have done such a great body of work.
And
Thank
you.
I mean, you have this tagline, right? It's that, say it for me. You have to say it. I want to hear it in your voice.
So it is that damn Dior. She did it again.
Okay.
And I want to tell you why it's that.
Tell me.
So, throughout this creative career I've had, there's been a lot of no's and there's been a lot of hills that I've, had to overcome, and obstacles that I face, whether knowing or not knowing that I was actually in one. And so it's interesting because just through that has built this character that I really don't accept no. And so it's now a thing when I'm out, especially with my friends, because they probably know the inner workings of it all and can read all my facial cues. And that, oh no, that damn Dior, she is going to do it again.
Okay.
And so it really became a curse, especially out and amongst, just my peers, that when and if this world that we live in our day-to-day things come up, say, oh, well, that's not what, you should be doing, or that's, unfortunately not, it's going to be a no. It really fuels me. It really does.
It's like,
figure
I'm gonna
out.
show
Yeah,
you.
it's just like, but why?
Right.
And help me understand. And then it puts me in a position, in a place to do it again. And 9 out of 10 times I come back bigger and better.
I love it.
Just so to just kind of overcome that. So it's actually been a very, it was actually fun and turned into like everyone now says it when, they know that this no is coming. But it's really now taken a life of its own because in my career, and again, not knowingly or subconsciously, as some might say, it was really about overcoming that. And really driving the ability to keep going.
Yeah.
Even when things got tough or hard or unknown, like when I didn't know what I wanted to do next, or I didn't know, where I should live, or if this was the right time to have a child or not. I worried about those things. And so, having this mantra made me, have that just bit of peace of, regardless of what happens, I'm going to take it and learn from it and come back even bigger and better. So that's a little bit about, me and the brand that is she. But I also attributed that to having the space of therapy. Like I have really taken that and used that as a platform to put things in order, put things at peace, even forgive, so that I can move on from, things and or people that have told me no.
Right.
So.
I love that. And I always think that in the space between the no and the yes, and in the space between the uncertainty or the next step, there's always this opportunity in this time where we're rebranding, or we're renewing what is going to come next in the next season, or we have this platform that we're going to springboard from. And, things are not always linear. And in the down times where we really think we're down, right, we sometimes forget that in order for us to have this amazing trajectory, in order for us to have this amazing takeoff, we have to be able to capture some type of momentum.
Yep.
Right? There has to be this this spring that we're actually jumping off from. And it sometimes feels like we're down and we're crouching or we're low, but we're actually just gaining that momentum to just hop into the next season of life. And I'm curious if you've captured anything in those moments where it felt like you were down, or, that in between season, between the no's and the yeses that you brought forward in your creative journey.
Yeah, I think back, probably even more recent is this year. I call it my break year. So I took a year to kind of reset, and I will say I took that year was forced upon me. And in that time though, where I thought like, oh no, I'm not that old. Like I should be working. I should be, doing this. I need to hit this. I should be 40 under 40. And, I should be hitting these awards and kind of on that trajectory that I was on. God had another plan. And so, in being forced to take some time, what it did was allow me to be there to take care of my parents that I needed to do. And I could not have imagined being, at that time, full-time working, knowing that I had to care, for my parents. It allowed me to be present with my kids, having a teenager who's coming into her own. I spent the last year really investing into her journey and what life looks like for her. And then thirdly, it gave me the space to even think about that damn Dior. Yeah. It gave me the space to realize that the brand that I had been building all these years, almost 20 years, now has a life and has a platform. And I've spoken on quite a few stages, and I've shared this story with many in a room, and never have I capitalized it into what it looks like for me and the future. So while I was forced into this break, I'm thankful for it. And I'm grateful because when I was ready to say yes, I said yes to an opportunity that created impact to communities across Atlanta and beyond. I said yes to a opportunity that allows me to be on platforms like this in a way that is not concerning or at all conflicting. I said yes to travel. I said yes to being able to be more present with, my husband and family. And so when I put all that into perspective over the last 12 months, the break was absolutely needed. And it gave me now the more ability to be intentional with conversations and connections that I make. Even as simple as being in Atlanta. Like I would have never guessed a year ago that I would be even where I'm at now. And so that's why I think I kind of just go back to take the break before the break takes you.
Yeah, I love that. And I really think that's important because sometimes in our breaks, we have to look at ourselves in a totally new way. That break is going to require us to do work that we probably were not intentionally running from, but we didn't have the time to do. We didn't have the time to do the work that we're getting to do in the moments of quiet. And I'm curious to see if in the rest, that has been a key factor in how we like to talk about branding our brilliance. I find that there is a brilliance factor in every single one of us, a unique competency or set of competencies that help us to really step into the true people we are destined to be. Do you feel like rest has been a key factor in your brilliance?
Oh, absolutely. And rest has also given me strength. Like it's given me the strength to know when to say yes and when to say no. The strength has given me the confidence. And it like, I still cringe when I hear people, kind of say my resume or, because it's never did I think it encapsulized what it is. the rest gave me the space to own that, and to honor that. The space gave me to recognize it. Like I could say I worked for Nike and McDonald's and, Wells Fargo and amongst many other brands. But I guess I never lived in that moment because I was always go, go, go. And so the rest gave me, I look back at pictures and I read articles and, I was just like in building that damn Dior, taking that trip down memory lane. Yeah, I was to pop a little collar.
You did all of that. You did all of that.
Like,
okay.
Huh.
Yes.
And so it was just that kind of proudness and confidence that now I carry when I walk in the room. And so to be in places where, they're like, oh, have a seat at the table. I'm just like, well, build my own table.
Okay.
And, drive, what else do we need to do so that we can, and I say we in this collective can uplift, those that are around us and coming, after us. And I appreciate in that too, the space that my mentors have taken, that I've been able to look to them and say, well, what did you do, in this break? And they're the ones like, well, I built a brand. I wrote a book. I did this. I did that. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me get on it then. So that, my act 3 and 4 can thrive just as good as act 1 and 2 is.
Absolutely. And I'm going to ask you that very same thing because sitting where you are today, Dior, you are probably mentoring people right now who are listening to this. What advice would you give to them who is in a similar situation than you that needs a break and that needs to take a moment to take a beat?
So I would say 2 things. One, recognize it. I think a lot of time that mentality of work, love Rihanna's song, and is great. And yes, I do have a very strong work ethic, but I also think recognize that hard work can also come with playtime. Like have the break, take the moment to reset. 2, I would say, love on yourself. I would say that probably was the biggest thing that I had to learn through my early career stages is that the you did it, girl, didn't need to come from anyone else. I needed to say it to myself.
Yeah.
And so while you recognize the breaks you need to take and taking them, recognize the applause that you need to give yourself.
Yeah.
And that can come in many forms, whether it's Post-its on the mirror, singing in the car, buy yourself that Dior bag.
Okay.
Do whatever you need to do.
You heard it from Dior. She said it. To say you did that. Because I think the early career wins are often looked over, because you, again, are just on that wheel. You're just going. You hit a goal. You created a campaign. You drove business. You bought in business, and everybody else is winning. And while, you may get a bonus, so you may get a certificate at work. When do you tell yourself you did that? Yeah. Wow.
So I would tell those 2 things to anyone listening, especially early career. Take the break, and secondly, tell yourself you did it.
Thank you, Dior. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
This was good. I had fun.
It was. Absolutely. And I'm going to ask everyone out there too, where in your life or career do you currently need to take a break before it breaks you? Follow us on The Creative Corporate on all of our platforms so you can learn more from great guests like Dior George and design your career and brand your brilliance. We'll see you next time on Behind the Creative.